Happy NBA Draft Day Eve. Happy NBA Draft Night Eve, I should say. The NBA Draft is here. And Romp and I, about a week ago, were just chatting. And I said, hey, would you want to come on my channel? And I can kind of pick your brain about some draft prospects and teams with multiple picks. And then, a week later, we got bombarded with Sixers and Suns news and, in reality, NBA news. And I was like, yeah, maybe we should cancel that live stream. And then Romp gives me a call and we're talking for about 45 minutes. I'm like, damn it, you just want to do a spontaneous live stream and just talk about all this shit. So Romp, I'm pushing you to the brink. I'm exhausting you before draft day because you were just on a stream with our guys, Philly Take with RB and DJ Eastwood, and you're probably pretty tired right now.
I'm good. I'm still going good. I'm probably not gonna sleep much tonight, to be honest, because I'm excited for the draft. But I see Iverson Vlogs is already in here, being depressing. But it should be a fun stream. Excited to talk some rumors involving Suns, anything. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, though? In all fairness to Iverson Vlogs, I had him on for a little bit after the Suns got eliminated, and sometimes he keeps it real. Sort of a little too negative for my taste, but he keeps it real. But yeah, we got so much to talk about, Romp. I'm not even joking. Like, I don't even know what layout to have us go on because we got things to talk about. And yeah, that one was good. Yeah. And we got screenshots to talk about and tweets. And I guess we're gonna start with this, Romp. Now, keep in mind, you guys, we're both going off fumes right now. Really, our thoughts and mindset is on the draft tomorrow. So these are just our reactions and thoughts. But let's start with this, Romp. According to my boy, Jake Fisher, the Sun from Bleacher Report and The Athletic and everything, the Suns have gauged trade value on Jae Crowder. Now, what does that even mean? I have no clue. Maybe they're just fielding calls, taking calls. Hey, what would you take for Jae Crowder? And would you guys take this? So, Romp, just any thoughts on the whole Jae Crowder thing? You think it's BS? Do you think the Suns should trade Jae Crowder? What do you think, man?
I have my feelings about Jae Crowder because he's pretty streaky, but I feel like he's kind of underrated too in terms of his impact, especially in the locker room as a leader and stuff like that. And I think he's kind of a guy where you don't even need to gauge his value. He's pretty much valuable to any contending team in the NBA because he's just a plug and play type player. And I feel like the scary thing about Jae Crowder for me for the Suns is he was more valuable to their offense than like Cam Reddish and Mikal Bridges. And like that's just the indictment on their system, to be honest with you, because Jae Crowder really is just a catch and shoot shooter, and he was still more valuable than like a talented prospect like Mikal and Cam Johnson. So I feel like that kind of scares me. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, that totally makes sense. So what Jake Fisher has written here is Phoenix has called rivals to measure Jae Crowder's value on the trade market, sources said. While the Suns have linked once again, keywords there, once again, to Eric Gordon. Phoenix held discussions with Houston to acquire Gordon, a former teammate of Chris Paul with the Rockets, blah, blah, blah. Back in February's trade deadline, blah, blah. But then there's a little nugget here, which I kind of talked about in yesterday's live stream. Phoenix is also said to be searching for a second round selection. Now, I actually like Jae Crowder more than others. Sometimes I feel like Suns fans like to pick on him, like I told you, Romp. I feel like they like to pick on him to let out their frustrations, but he's a great player. He plays hard, he fights hard, streaky shooter. I'm not saying he does everything
Very
great on the
streaky.
court. Yes, very streaky shooter. I'm not saying he's the best player or anything. And kind of like you mentioned, he's not a true power forward, which, maybe we could talk about that later, is the Suns need a true power forward. But, he's a great player. He's a veteran in this league. He's been to the finals, twice, played for multiple teams, great locker room guy. And I would be a little sad if the Suns traded Jae Crowder, but it is interesting that we're starting to hear reports of they are taking calls and seeing what his value is out there. So Romp, we're going to unless you have other Jae Crowder thoughts, we're going to flip the script and I'll get your quick thoughts on, as it's being reported here, that the Suns are also searching for a second round selection. And then it was reported yesterday the Suns want to buy a second round selection. So any thoughts on the Suns potentially getting a second round pick?
It would be interesting. I don't know where they would be, whether early second round, late second round.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to buy a second round pick, wouldn't it make more sense? Do you want to get it early, I guess you could say? Because, wouldn't you just wait for an undrafted player, if you're buying a late second round pick? So I'm assuming probably like 30 to 40 range, 30 to 45 or something like that. I don't know. I don't really know many second round prospects. Maybe Christian Braun from Kansas. But I don't really see a second round player coming in and making an impact for the Suns.
I talked about that last night. Yeah.
If I'm being real, I think maybe Tyrese Martin from UConn. He kind of fits the mold of what the Suns look for in a player. He's 6'8", has like a 6'9" wingspan. He's a wing position player. He pretty much does everything. His only weaknesses is his offensive creation ability. He's not going to create his own shot consistently in the NBA, but everything else is very, very good. But the thing is, he's 23 years old, and he really didn't, he really didn't do anything crazy in college. Right. But also, he was an amazing defender. He can switch 1 through 3, basically. And he has an NBA-ready body, 6'8", 215 from UConn. He grew up around my area, so obviously I got to support my guy.
Yeah.
And I think he definitely is going to be an NBA player one day. And I think someone's going to give him a chance. And the Suns, they like to make under-the-radar moves, and I could see them finding a diamond in the rough in terms of an undrafted free agent or a second-round talent.
I appreciate your insight on those picks, man, because you know me, I'm not really a draft expert. I feel like I've done a respectable amount of homework on this class, but especially when it comes to the second round, I have no clue. And I'm so excited for tomorrow's draft. That is an understatement. And you are right. Like the Phoenix Suns, they kind of keep things close to the chest for the most part. And James Jones, we could spend a whole hour on what James Jones is doing in terms of scouting and the draft and everything, because a huge report came out today. We're going to talk about that at another time. I'm probably going to make a video on it. But yeah, the Phoenix Suns are playing things close to the chest. And a lot of this could just be rumors and speculation, Romp. You already know this because the whole Cam Johnson thing, I didn't buy that shit yesterday. They call it smoke screen for a reason. I'm sure you being a Sixers fan, which by the way, both of your channels are linked down below in the description. Go check out my friend, my guest, my boy Romp 2.0. Go check out his channels. A lot of smoke screen, a lot of BS sometimes, Romp. I know you know that as a Sixers fan.
What about Kai Soto? The chat loves Kai Soto. I love me some Kai Soto because if you upload a video on YouTube about Kai Soto, it's blowing up. So I'm a big Kai Soto fan.
Yeah, I've seen a couple Kai. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he has a well-polished game, especially for a 7'3" players. He's listed at 7'2", but a lot of people say all the Philippine fans in my comment section was like, oh, he's 7'3" now. So I'm gonna say he's 7'3", and he just moves well for his size, in my opinion. And Monty Williams has like a full video on YouTube. If you look up Kai Soto, Monty Williams, he has a full video explaining like his game. I didn't watch it, but
Right.
it's something interesting that Suns fans should check out. And if they're interested in a second round pick, it seems like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get him, especially with, the whole DeAndre Ayton situation. It looks like he's going to be gone. So getting a replacement, a young, fresh prospect could be intriguing.
Thank you for that insight and analysis on Kai Soto. He is a prodigy from what I know and very intriguing. And before we talk about the DeAndre Ayton thing, I'll just say this. If the Suns do get a second round pick, I think it will just be for development, which, I mean, we kind of tried to do that with Jalen Smith and we failed, but I think there's a reason we'll be getting a second round pick, maybe for emergencies. You just never know. But hey, we already had a young prospect. His name was Jalen Smith. Oh, God. Anyways, let's talk about the DeAndre Ayton, quote, news. I'm putting it in quotation because I feel like we already knew this. According to Sixers Adam, who we both follow, he apparently had a really long conversation with Woj tonight and kind of interviewed him in a way. And he says, and I quote, let me pull up the tweet real quick. Woj says Phoenix is, quote, very motivated. Let me lower this comment real quick. Woj is very, I can't even read. Woj says Phoenix is, quote, very motivated to find a sign and trade for DeAndre Ayton. Quote, they do not value Ayton on a max contract. We pretty much already knew this, Romp. We've heard everything about Ayton, good and bad. So this isn't necessarily real news, but the fact that it's coming out the night of the draft, that is interesting. And Woj was even on one of the draft shows and was talking, I think, to Malika Andrews and all of them, and basically said the same thing. So who knows what's going to happen with that. Now you told me anyways, the whole Jeremy Grant thing and the Pistons thing. The Pistons are the only, and I'll pull this stuff up too from what Jake Fisher's talking about here, with everything with the Pistons. He's basically saying, they have the cap to go get him. The Suns can technically match it, but they're like the only team that actually has cap room. And now that Jeremy Grant has been traded, I don't know what the Suns would want. I don't feel like the Phoenix Suns are going to get the value, and it's hard to explain. Like we're not getting a DeAndre Ayton back unless it's like some Kevin Durant type package. I talked about this last night on my stream. No matter what we trade, we're not getting DeAndre Ayton back.
Yeah.
So I don't even really know what to ask you here. Like, I just don't. What are your thoughts on just everything DeAndre Ayton? Like, I don't know.
DeAndre Ayton. I mean, the good thing is you guys have a lot of power in the situation where you could just match whatever
leverage. Yep.
Whatever they do. But at the same time, I mean, DeAndre Ayton could just sit out if he really wanted to, because it's a players' league and they can do whatever they want.
Facts.
So I feel like, yeah, you can match him, but like, what is it accomplishing? I guess trading him at the deadline then for full value.
Yep.
But is he going to play? And then it's just like a weird dynamic.
Will he be motivated every game? Yeah.
And if you're trying to win a championship, it's just not, I don't think it's worth the risk of doing that. Also, I think there's options out there. Yeah, if you do a sign and trade, you get half of his value back. That's in the CBA or whatever. And I know that doesn't sound enticing, but if you're a smart GM, you could find good trades. And I don't think DeAndre Ayton, I know this might be unpopular Suns fans, but I don't think he's that huge of a game changer where if you lose him, I don't think you'll miss him that much if you get something in return. Like a surplus.
If we get something in return, yes.
Like say you get a Miles Turner. He's not better than DeAndre Ayton, but I could argue he's a better fit than DeAndre Ayton in your system. And then not only that, but you would get picks in return. So then you could flip those picks eventually in the future for someone else, because we saw this year picks are valuable. It got the Mavericks Christian Wood. And not only that, but you're probably going to get a player like Chris Duarte as well.
That's your boy right there too.
Yeah. You're going to get Chris Duarte, maybe O'Shea Brissett, but I think he has a team option. But if you got O'Shea Brissett, that would be an underrated pickup. But what I'm saying is, like, yeah, you're only getting half value, but if you do it right and then you flip those things you got in the DA trade at the deadline, then you could get another player. So I don't think the trades out there are as bad as people make it out to be, because I don't necessarily see DeAndre Ayton as a part of your long-term solution, because you guys don't treat him like one. You don't feed him
which is
like,
kind of the problem here. Is
yeah,
why we're here.
it's not necessarily like, you could argue the Suns did him wrong in a way, but at the same time, like, DA is also at fault for not, consistently
Producing,
showing,
mm-hmm.
not consistently showing up, not being aggressive enough. So I think there's blame to go on both sides. But once again, I'll say this: he's not as big. If you lose him, I think there's ways where you can make up for it.
And this being a Sixers fan. I mean, from what I gather from Sixers fans, with all due respect, Suns fans, ever since we got Chris Paul and went to the finals and everything, our expectations are through the roof now. And nothing we get, unless it's like again, I'm just throwing this name out there, unless it's a Kevin Durant type package, nothing will impress them. Nothing will satisfy them, really. Unless it's like you're like that one fan that's on 2K and you think we can get players through the click of a button that easily. But yeah, so I agree with you. And again, I have a lot of mixed feelings about DeAndre Ayton, but the way that he and the Suns flamed out in the playoffs and everything we've been hearing, and I've been saying some of this stuff from day one about his work ethic and about him being kind of immature in a way and just being a little too confident in himself. But I do want to give a random shout out to a few people. Shout out to my guy, Roy. You guys all know Roy. He's been on the channel once before. Big time supporter of mine. Philly Take with RB. Shouted you out earlier, man. Love your content, bro. And I'm serious. I feel like I'm kind of an honorary Sixers fan because of you guys and DJ Eastwood and all them. Great Sixers content creator. Check out Philly Take with RB, because you guys did a stream earlier. How did you guys think the stream went, Romp?
It was a good stream.
Good.
It was very good.
It's almost 2 hours from what I saw. I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but I saw it was almost 2 hours, which is awesome.
The chat didn't attack me as much as they have in the past, so it was good.
Go check out Philly Take with RB. And once again, Romp's channels are linked down below. You started up a second Sixers channel, and it's thriving. So good for you, man. Congratulations. Also, shout out to Super Mario Hoops 24. Always been on this channel a lot. And shout out to Hawks Hoops. Has a pretty big TikTok following. Really cool guy. Has a YouTube channel. Does live streams. And I just really respect this content creator right here. So make sure to go give him a follow as well. But let's move on, Romp. I mean, we could seriously spend days, hours talking about DeAndre Ayton. I'm sick about talking about it. I'm just done with it. It's like we said before we went live, Romp. It's everything about the DeAndre Ayton news is kind of like what with Ben Simmons. Like, you kept hearing the same thing over and over again. You're just sick of it. I'm not believing anything until I actually see from Woj or Shams that he's been signed and traded. So I'm going to pick your brain about some other stuff, Romp. We're already 18 minutes in, and I think this is a pretty good stream so far. I've gotten to get some things off my chest, and you've gotten the analysis part down with these potential future picks, and I appreciate your insight and analysis. So I want to pick your brain on this, Romp. Let me pull up the tweet here. According to Evan Massey, I hope I said his last name right, the Knicks have been fielding trade calls on Cam Reddish, per source.
Oh my God.
A handful of teams, including the hashtag Suns and the hashtag Rockets, have shown interest. Romp, Cam Reddish is your boy. Tell me about Cam Reddish, because I know he can shoot. That's all I know about him.
My boy Cam Reddish. I mean, how could you not be intrigued by a guy? Hold up. What is his height again? I forget his height.
6'8"?
6'8".
Yeah, I knew it.
Nice wings, 7'1" wingspan. You know James Jones likes wingspans.
Yes.
He's been injured every now and again. He's a tad bit inconsistent. Those are the knocks on him, but I don't think he's been in a situation where his team has fully believed in him. Kind of
Right.
reminds me of like an Andrew Wiggins situation, you know?
Mm. Right.
They
Right.
were
Right.
asking a little too much from Andrew Wiggins in the Timberwolves system, and he was still a good player. It's just that he wasn't good enough to be the guy per se. And I think that's what happened with the Hawks with Cam Reddish. Plus, he was kind of inconsistent, and it just seems like there's weird stuff going on over there, especially with John Collins, requesting out basically since a year and a half ago. So something's
Facts.
going on in Atlanta. Plus, that coach got fired, and they brought in Nate McMillan. So
Yep.
it just wasn't a good situation for a young guy. And then he went to New York, where Tom Thibodeau doesn't play young
Yep.
guys, and
Mm-hmm.
he barely even got run there. And when he did get run, he showed some promise like he did in Atlanta. But I always go back to the fact that the Hawks put him in the Eastern Conference Finals. He didn't play at all. He got inconsistent minutes all throughout that year, and they put him in. He had like a 15-point performance, and he
Mm.
was the best player on the Hawks that night. And he played a pretty good series considering he got inconsistent minutes. And he's a two-way player potentially who can get buckets. And why would you not want that at that size? He just needs a team that believes in him, and he just needs a team where he doesn't have to be the guy with huge expectations in my eyes. And who knows, he could potentially be an all-star one day if everything goes right. I mean, we saw with Andrew Wiggins.
Yep. I love that analysis and comparison because the one thing I do know about Cam Reddish before, obviously that he can shoot is that the potential is there. And I know you can say that about multiple prospects in this year's draft and draft a couple of years ago and all that, but I really do believe that the potential is there. And you're right. He just has not had a chance to thrive. And this is kind of unrelated, but that's why I like certain players going to bad teams because I'm like, that's where you can prove you can play for the most part. But sometimes players go into good teams too, proves that you can or cannot play. But yeah, Cam Reddish. And again, I was sort of surprised by that too. And I talked about this last night in the stream. If the playoffs proved anything, is that wing players matter. James Jones loves his wings. Shooting clearly matters. Golden State Warriors. And Cam Reddish is still young, fits that timeline. And yeah, we'll just have to see. Could just be rumors. Again, let me just pull up the tweet one more time because there's some keywords in here. Quote, been fielding trade calls per source. And then a handful of teams, including the Suns, have shown interest. So who knows, man? I mean, you said it to me before we went live. I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know who to believe anymore. But I know that obviously Woj and Shams are like the top two insiders. But people like Jake Fisher from time to time have good reports. And, sometimes even the local guys, they hear stuff before the big guys do, which I am going to kind of throw you for a loop later with some reporting, but we'll talk about that later. So let's move on here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Chris Haynes, sort of another big insider and everything, says Clippers forward Nick Batum is expected to receive interest from the Lakers, Jazz, Suns, Celtics, Bulls. And if I remember reading the report correctly, all he said about the Suns was that there's interest. I've always liked Nick Batum. I'm gonna kind of do something crazy here. I don't do draft comparisons. I'm not a draft expert at all. But my Nicholas Batum or my draft comparison is what's his name? Usman Dang or whatever.
Usman Dang or
Yeah,
something.
that reminds me of Nick Batum. And I've always liked Nick Batum. He's a veteran in this league, and he'd be a decent fit with the Suns, man. And I think you'd probably like him on the Sixers too, right? Or am I talking crazy?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite free agents. I think the Clippers are probably going to re-sign him, but if the Suns got him, they would finally have a real power forward that can stretch
Yeah.
the floor. So that would be nice because Jae Crowder is not a power forward, and that kind of hurts you guys in
Go
some
get a power
matchups.
forward, Suns, a real one. Go get two of them.
It would just be cool. Like imagine you got Nick Batum and then you got Miles Turner. Like everyone would be able to be on the perimeter and no one would be in the paint. You could still run pick and rolls, obviously.
Yeah.
But it would just be an interesting dynamic if you could get a 5-out system because that's what killed you against the Mavericks. They just did 5-out and ISO'd you to death and shot 3-pointers.
And
you
Jason
can't
Kidd
really
proved that he's a good coach and figured out how to guard us.
you can't really do that with DeAndre Ayton, unfortunately, as of now.
Dude, when you were saying that stuff about the Mavericks just now, I like got pissed off. Like, just oh god. I'm sorry. I have to like gather myself for a moment here. So I want to move on for a second. Tonight, JaVale McGee, he has like his own charity. I don't know too much about the charity, but it's for like a foundation and everything. They had like a fun little softball game at the Diamondback Stadium. Devin Booker was there, Chris Paul was there, Mikal Bridges was there. DeAndre Ayton obviously was not there. And I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I'll read you some quotes from tonight about what was said. Mikal Bridges said, and I quote, he called DeAndre Ayton his best friend. He talked about how there's obviously been a lot of negativity between Suns fans and the Suns community because of how the Suns went out. Mikal Bridges said that he understands the frustration. He said that the players were pissed too. But where it kind of gets juicy and kind of confusing here is Chris Paul said, and I quote, he's going to control what he can control when it comes to DeAndre Ayton's free agency. And he said, it's a good problem to have if it's a problem, which that makes no sense to me. I'll repeat it one more time. It's a good problem to have if it is a problem. For me, during all those stressful situations and whatnot, going to try to spend as much time with my family as possible. What are you talking about, Chris Paul?
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? And then apparently he was asked about him having COVID during the playoffs, and he deflected it, saying, I ain't seen none of that. I'm here now. They beat us. We lost. Like, I'm just so pissed off from what Chris Paul said. I'm so confused. And then they were talking to Cam Johnson, and I kind of like what Cam Johnson said about his possible extension. He said he's letting the process work itself out. I've heard lots of players say that, not just Suns players. He said the first thing on the agenda is DeAndre Ayton's situation. So it all comes back to DeAndre Ayton. And all the videos that I've made this offseason, it all starts and ends with DeAndre Ayton. Now, before we move on, when I said that there's some other reporters that know stuff sometimes before the national guys, my guy Flex from Jersey, who love him or hate him, he kind of predicted and called the Chris Paul trade before some of the bigger guys knew about it. He tweeted this out tonight. Quote, sometimes unique opportunities come up, and being in the right place at the right time means everything. Phoenix has done a great job of putting themselves in a position to strike when the time is right. A lot will happen along the way, but when the finished product is all that matters. So what he's basically saying is that the Suns are getting Kevin Durant, right?
I mean, if he becomes available, but the thing is, like, everyone will be trying to get KD if that's the case.
Facts.
So
facts.
It's really up to KD where he wants to go, to be honest. And there's some ties to him in Phoenix, but that's one of the things where you just wait until it happens because it just seems impossible. But I will say this. If you guys get Kevin Durant, the pressure on the team is going to be insane.
Astronomical, yeah.
Insane. And that could be a curse, low-key. I'm not going to lie, because it's going to be a lot of pressure for the other guys. You know what they say about LeBron's teammates. Some of his teammates just couldn't handle playing with LeBron. You're going to get
Jordan and all them. Yeah.
You're gonna get a ton of criticism.
Oh my God.
You're gonna have easy looks in big crucial moments because KD is getting double teamed and stuff like that. And if you don't hit that shot, you're gonna get that you're gonna get the death threats like Danny Green did when he was a Laker. So a lot of pressure.
Man. And you know about pressure being a Sixers fan, man. You know? Because I know Sixers fans demand that stuff.
So it's worth it though, for sure. But CP3 with more pressure kind of scares me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
You know, in the future, I kind of want to do a video talking about if we should just literally rest Chris Paul and everything for most of the season. But the whole thing with that is Chris Paul probably doesn't want to rest, but he really should. and this year's playoffs proved it. But I wanted to read you that stuff from that softball charity game tonight because some of those quotes were weird, man. Then, like I said, JJ Redick was or Mikal Bridges was on a podcast with JJ Redick, and some of the stuff he said kind of pissed me off, man. So I don't know. I just wanted to get that off my chest and talk about it because that is kind of Suns news. I mean, again, Cam Johnson said he didn't really answer about the extension, but he said, I'm letting the process work itself out. The first thing on the agenda is DA, and then Chris Paul, with his deflection and all that. So, I don't know, man. But again, I really got to back up my guy, Flex from Jersey. And he's been saying that the Suns are in a, quote, unique position. And he's been on his own podcasts and has talked about it. And he's talked about certain superstars wanting to play for Phoenix. Now, he didn't really name those superstars, obviously. And again, you're right. It's a players' league. Kevin Durant would want to have to come to Phoenix. And we wouldn't be the only people suited to get him. And it could be a curse, man. I mean, we would have to give up a lot.
Yeah, you would give
and
up.
What if we
give up Johnson? You would give up.
We would have to give up draft picks.
Your whole future.
Now let's go away from the Suns just for a second here. I said this to you earlier, and I was serious. Let's take KD out of this. If KD leaves and Kyrie doesn't resign, the Nets are fucked. I mean, they're literally gonna do a fire sale.
No, they were screwed once they traded for Ben Simmons. I can't believe anyone got behind that. I was on Sixers podcast, and I was like, why would the Nets even risk trading for Ben Simmons? Why would they do that? Just run it back with James Harden, Kyrie, and KD, and just hope they figure it out. That's what I would have done if I was the Nets. And the fact that they didn't just run it back and hope for the best. Because, like, James Harden, he played a very good first-round series. He just kind of died out towards the Heat. And I feel like if they had James Harden against the Celtics, and James Harden averaged 30 points, I think like around 28 points against the Celtics with the Nets last year in the playoffs. So if they had James Harden and KD against the Celtics this year, they would not have gotten swept. I don't know if they would have beat them. Probably not.
Gotten swept.
But they wouldn't have gotten swept. So it was just a dumb move. And I can't believe anyone thought that was a good idea to take a risk on Ben Simmons, where if you did just simple research, you knew he was not playing at all.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
So we kind of talked about this earlier, and Romp, honestly, at this point, we can talk about whatever. I can pick your brain about certain teams with multiple picks, but I do want to say one thing about the Suns Pacers thing, because OTDA writes, hey, y'all, just a question at Suns Geek. What would the Pacers have to give up for you to entertain a DA trade? I'm a Pacers fan, just full disclosure, and I love basketball. Great question, man. And key word there, entertain a trade for DA. Now, we kind of talked about it, Miles Turner and everything. Obviously, that would be the key right there. Your boy, Chris Duarte, who I really like. There probably have to be some picks in here. Now, I said this to you earlier, Romp. I was listening to one of the basketball news insiders. He used to cover the Suns, or I think might cover the Suns or whatever, but he works for basketball news. And he basically said, he was on a Pacers podcast, and he said, the Pacers might hold a lot of chips and cards this offseason, not just with the Suns. Like, they have assets they could get rid of. They have a top 6 pick, something like that, lottery pick that they could get rid of. They got everyone's son's favorite, Jalen Smith. They could do whatever with him, and who knows what the Pacers are going to look like, man. But they have assets, and that's really all my thoughts on that. So really, just to entertain a DA trade, it would have to be Miles Turner, somebody else, and a bunch of picks for me.
I think that the Portland Pistons trade,
yes,
low key helped the Pacers out a lot, because the Pistons can offer DeAndre Ayton whatever they want, but the Suns could just match it.
Yep.
So I don't know what that accomplishes for them. Plus, like, now, what are the Suns going to be interested with the Pistons? I mean, Sadiq Bey, Kelly Olynyk.
But again, the
not
whole
much.
value, it's and I like Sadiq Bey. I thought he had a really good season and everything. Here's the Suns salary cap situation, by the way. But again, not too much the Pistons would have, because they're trying to become their own little contender and at least make the playoffs and everything. But Yeah, the Pistons, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think Miles Turner, Chris Duarte, and a bunch of picks would be beautiful, in my opinion.
Yep.
I would like that because I feel like Suns fans are sleeping on Miles Turner. I want to see them fall in love with Miles Turner.
Now, keep in mind, you guys, that Ayton is not going to get traded tomorrow because of draft picks and because it's a sign-in trade, so nothing can happen until free agency. And DeAndre Ayton has to want to play for the team, not Ayton. You're getting traded here. Sorry, you're forced to sign a contract. You know what I mean? So he's not getting traded tomorrow, Suns fans. Love him or hate him, he's not getting traded tomorrow. Just thought I would mention that. We got a lot of bots in here too, and spammers I got to get rid of here. So Romp, I guess real quick, I'll just pick your brain about something and we can talk about whatever. If you guys have a question, let me know. Sorry, my screen is being slow right now.
Super Mario said the Pacers might just be content just working with Jalen Smith, Suns legend. He's a free agent, bro.
I just think I really do believe that whole, insider and what he said. I just really feel like they have a lot to play with, man. That's all I got to say.
Talk about a power forward. That's Jalen Smith, man.
Yep. So
and Monty Williams was like, yeah, let me just not play him.
So real quick, Logan, I'll talk about that in a future video. I don't even have the brain power right now to talk about what James Jones said about his quote draft philosophy. The only thing I will say is James Jones is really weird when it comes to the draft thing. You guys can go back to my early days on this channel. I made a video about what James Jones said once about the draft, about how he quote scouts and how really weird it was. And it bugged me. I made a whole video about it because it bugged me that much. So I'll talk about that later because there's too much news going on right now and all that. Romp, there's something I really do want to talk to you about though, because I'm genuinely, I asked Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report on his podcast because he did this little like call-in thing. I want your opinion on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, there's already been rumors that they're possibly going to trade the 12th pick. They also have the 34th pick this year, and they have like a gazillion picks for the next 8 years. Do you think the Thunder are going to keep tanking and gathering picks, or do you think maybe they'll draft Chet Holmgren or something and maybe package some of these picks? What do you think, man? What's your thoughts on the Thunder? Like, again, I'm just picking your brain here. What do you think?
I don't know. They don't really do much for me. I still think they need that superstar generational talent.
Facts.
Picks are cool and all, but
how valuable are they?
Yeah, at the end of the day, if you keep picking like project type players, you're not going to find a generational piece. And eventually Shea is going to get pissed off. He's already like 23 or 24 or whatever he is. He's going to request out eventually, and then you're kind of just back to
especially
square
if you
one.
keep tanking and are in the lottery every year and you don't have any promise,
But the thing is, though, they
can't block this bot. I'm sorry, guys.
They made the playoffs a couple of years ago in the bubble, so
Chris Paul.
It's not as bad as it seems.
Facts. I don't know why. I just wanted to ask you that because when
Sam Presti, that dude's overrated, dude. Let me tell you that. That dude is the most overrated.
He's the draft picks god.
No, he's a Sam Hinkie wannabe, and he traded away prime James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and KD to sign Serge Ibaka or whatever it was. So that dude's the most overrated GM. They're probably gonna draft Chet, and he's probably gonna be a bust. I'm not high on Chet. I apologize for all the people who are, but he doesn't do much for me.
Everyone's got their own opinion, man.
I think he'll be a fine player, but not a superstar player. And I think Banchero, who they could get, I think he would be a superstar for sure.
I mean, you're a bigger draft expert than me, and I talked about this last night, but I basically said the top 3 picks, I feel like it can go in any order, and it doesn't matter. The Rockets are literally confident that no matter who they draft at 3, they'll be fine. I think I'm not a betting man at all, but if I did bet, I'd bet Jabari Smith goes first, then Holmgren, then Pablo. How do you say his last name? Bencaro?
Yeah, Bankero.
Yeah. So, but the
See,
draft starts at 4 because there's so many rumors with that Kings pick. They might trade it, man.
yeah, see, for me, when the Sixers were tanking, yeah, they were god awful.
Yeah.
Brutally awful. But once we got our, pieces like Joel Embiid, once Joel and Ben were playing, we were a playoff team right away.
Right.
So we drafted generational.
And you had promise.
We drafted a generational talent in Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, OKC Thunder are still looking for that generational talent that's going to guarantee you 50 wins every year. And it's like it's getting to a point where like stop drafting project type players. Just draft a sure thing.
See, you said the key word there, project type players, because there's Pokuševski or whatever his name is down there. And they got some other decent role players, but there's only 15 roster spots, man. Technically 12. You know what I mean? So you can't have a billion picks on one team. You can't have 15. I mean, technically you have a bunch of guys in the G League, but what are you doing? So I don't know what the Thunder are doing. I guess I don't know how much longer you want to keep going, Romp, because we probably want to get some sleep, although we're not going to sleep tonight because we're too excited for the draft. I want to get your opinion on one more team, and then we can talk about whatever. The Charlotte Hornets. Now, there's a reason I want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. One, because for a long time, I was on their bandwagon because I was like, they got LaMelo Ball, and they got Miles Bridges, and they got all these players, and they got a bright future. And then they fired their head coach, and they lost in the play-in tournament, if I remember correctly. They had picks 13 and 15. I feel like that's a pretty damn good spot. In my opinion, they don't need those 2 picks at all. They could probably trade one. Do you have any thoughts on the Hornets? Do you think maybe they could draft a big man and then trade like that 15th pick? Do you see them re-signing Miles Bridges? I've heard that they're kind of on the fence about that. Any thoughts on the Hornets at all? Just anything, man.
Hornets, I think they just need to keep losing. Just keep getting those lottery picks. I think they're like 1 year away. Get rid of Gordon Hayward because he's there for no reason, to be honest. Get some assets for him if you can. Maybe like a pick, second round pick, whatever. But I think if they try to compete this year, it would probably be useless because like they're not going to beat the Heat. Hawks.
They don't even have a head coach right now either. Don't forget.
Yeah, so it's like they just got to rebuild, retool.
It might be a few years, huh?
I don't even think it's worth signing Miles Bridges. Like he's a young up and coming player, probably going to be an all-star or
one day,
borderline all-star.
Yeah. I agree with that.
But like that's one of the players I wouldn't do a sign and trade with for the Suns because I feel like it's just not.
I'm not trying to pick on the person that reported that, but someone like came up with a trade proposal, and I remember making the video and just being like, I don't like. It was like Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, and a pick. I was just like, eh. And again, that's nothing against Miles Bridges or anything, but there's just something off about that. I don't know. I don't like it. So I don't know. I just wanted to pick your brain about those 2 teams. So you got anything else, man? I feel like I've said my piece with all this news, especially on the Suns. You got anything else, man?
I don't know. Does Chad have any questions?
Yeah, if you guys got any questions, send them in.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Are you done with Deandre Ayton? Because you sound done compared to what the chat seemed to be all stream.
I give him at the end when we lost originally, before those reports came out about Ayton and Monty and all this stuff, I gave him a 50% chance of coming back. Then the reports did come out, gave him a 40% chance. And today is June 22nd. The draft is tomorrow. I now give him a 30% chance of coming back. The Pistons are going to get him. We're going to get Sadiq Bey, Kelly Olynyk, and a whole bunch of picks. And that's my hot take. Ayton is not coming back. Now, let's say the Suns do run it back with that. Let's say Ayton does come back. First off, it's going to be awkward as hell. And you know the media is going to try to fish out things and all that. But I wouldn't bet on Ayton being here long term if he does re-sign and all that. Could always trade him in the future. Man. But I don't give him much of a chance, man. I also wanted to shout out the chat as well. We had like almost 100 people. I think we did have 100 people in here at one point. Appreciate everybody that's watching and all that. Again, if you guys got any last second questions, let us know. Let's see here. Let me go to the chat.
Roy wants
Hawks Hoops.
DeAndre Ayton for Rudy Gobert. Question mark.
If we're just talking as basketball fans, that wouldn't. Ayton is a better offensive player than Rudy Gobert. Now, Rudy Gobert is obviously the better defensive player. My phone's ringing. But I don't.
Bro, I would. That's like getting sandpaper for Christmas, you know?
It's like you're basically just swapping great defense for already a good defensive player. And Ayton is a good defensive player.
It's a better fit, but
yeah.
I'd rather just risk Ayton long term.
Yeah. If Rudy Gobert was our only option, I would just keep Ayton.
But the thing is, like, I feel like the Ayton thing, Ayton's like, that situation is tainted. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
He just can't come back because it's just going to be
so
weird.
Fucking awkward, dude.
It would be weird.
Super Mario Hoop says 30% is too high to come back.
It would just ruin the whole season, to be quite honest. Like, if Ayton were to come back, I would already, if I was a betting man, I would already know, yeah, the Suns ain't winning the championship because there's just too much to overcome. It's just annoying. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you want for a championship team. I've been through it with the Ben Simmons thing, and the only reason we got through it was because of Joel Embiid having a historically great season. So it's just going to be and after every single game, you're going to hear reporters ask about, DeAndre Ayton, blah, blah, blah. Every single game, every single time there's 2 days off, you're going to hear, DeAndre Ayton. It's just going to be a whole hindrance throughout the whole season. I will say Suns players could use it as motivation if he were to sit out because the Sixers players did do that, and it seemed like it brought them together. But at the end of the day, I just don't think you want that around your team. If you have championship aspirations, and the Suns definitely do, and the window is closing because Chris Paul is like 45 years old.
I 125% agree with everything you just said. I don't want to compare the Ben Simmons saga to what is going on with Ayton, but there definitely is some similarities there. And Amanda asked a great question. Then we'll probably end it. There's also some other great comments that I would love to get to, but we're running on fumes here. You think the Suns will still be contenders if they trade DA and not get a star in return? This season will prove that. That's the thing. It doesn't help our chances.
I saw during the season DeAndre Ayton being out for like 20 games or something.
Yeah.
And JaVale McGee came in, played very well.
Yeah, he did.
Bismack Biyombo played so well that Suns fans think he's actually like
guilty.
Think he's actually way better than he actually is.
Guilty.
So it's like I watched the Suns without DA, and I really didn't notice much of a difference. Not saying it would have been different in the playoffs for sure. Yeah. But I don't think. I just think if you get a different dynamic, not saying you get better players, but you get like a different dynamic player in Miles Turner who brings something else to the table, it could be different. And I think the vibes just need a change. Yeah. Because if you bring back Ayton, like the feel around the locker room, it would just be bad because of the Game 7 performance. Like, you can't come back after that with the same roster in my eyes.
Absolutely. I think we'll end the stream right here. I don't want to butcher your name, sir, but I appreciate you joining all the way from Denmark. So good morning to you, sir. Thank you for watching. He said, just joined your show. Morning in Denmark. Latest news about Ife Lundberg and will he still be a Sun? Now, he told Arizona Republic that he plans on playing with the Phoenix Suns for Summer League. So that is the update on Gabriel Ife Lundberg, a young guard with potential. Showed small flashes in the very, very small amount of time that he played. I hope he returns, but I've always said this is that this is just a great opportunity for Ife Lundberg and, players like Ish Wainwright and all them. That's why I love Summer League, man, is players sometimes that don't get drafted have the chance to thrive. So it is being reported that he is coming to the Summer League team.
Super Mario brought up a great point. He said, yeah, but those guys in place at Ayton won't fix the issues that were present in the playoffs. I think it's more than just Ayton. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, this whole Ayton situation is blinding you. It's blinding you from the real problem. And the real problem is your system is way too reliant on CP3 and even Devin Booker. And it has to change. Your system has to change. And I don't know. And that's what happened with the Sixers too. Like, we were so blinded by Ben Simmons. And I was like, we got to fire Doc Rivers. Please fire Doc Rivers. Get rid of Tobias Harris. For the love of God, get rid of Tobias Harris. But everyone was like, we got to get rid of Ben. And rightfully so. But it blinded many people of the real issues. So they got to replace CP3, man. Because if you guys don't, I don't even know where you go from here after he's gone.
I said this last night. I said, and I don't want to sound paranoid. I don't want to sound like I'm panicking, but I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with Ayton, but I said, maybe we should start looking towards the future, like find an actual future point guard, find some draft picks somewhere later in the draft years, and maybe we should start keeping those assets close. Maybe we should become the Thunder, man, and keep those assets close to the chest. You know what I mean? Because you don't know what's going to happen with CP3, and Deandre Ayton's not coming back. So I don't know, man. That's it.
Mikal Bridges needs to make a jump. He needs to show. He needs to show that he could be an all-star, like offensively too, and take it to the rim more. You guys need guys who take it to the rim. Also, that Landry Shamet deal, man, is just pitiful.
That's something on my channel I haven't talked enough about, man.
Also, I think watching Torrey Craig in Indiana compared to when he was with Phoenix was like, it was just like a different player offensively.
Yep.
Like he can create a bit off the dribble. And
he plays hard.
I think Torrey Craig, like, I know he had a terrible playoff run, but defensively, he's very versatile. And I think if you give him a full year of getting more familiar with the system, I think he could be a nice piece to the puzzle. Like 10 minutes in a playoff game, guard the best player, annoy them. I like Torrey Craig a lot. I would love him on the Sixers.
I think I've talked more about the Landry Shamet deal than you, Suns Geek. Super Mario Hoops is the biggest Landry Shamet fan I've ever met. I'm totally kidding, by the way.
Dario is back. I forgot about Dario.
And you know what? I'm not saying we would have beat the Mavericks. I'm not saying we would have beat the Warriors. But Dario would have helped us. A healthy Dario.
Dude, that dude Dario is either the best player on earth or like a G League player.
Oh, so you mean Jalen Smith? Oh, wait, I gotta play the drop.
Also, I remember Suns fans complaining about
That's all
Dario
we do is Suns fans. I know.
And now he's the savior. Come on.
You know what though? kind of like kind of like not Super Mario, kind of like Hawk Soup says. I miss Dario, man. I do. I miss seeing Dario on the court. But
Yeah, he was fun. He's just too slow. I'm sick of slow players in Philly, so I wouldn't really want him back.
yeah, I don't know, man. Tomorrow's gonna be insane. Ooh, one more thing before we go. And I really believe, and I know that last year Woj said kind of the same thing and not too much happened. I feel like this year's different though. Again, Sixers Adam was talking to Woj and interviewed him and stuff and said, and I quote, he asked for a bold prediction for the draft. And Woj says we will see a lot of trades that teams will want to improve tomorrow night rather than on July 1st. And that's why I picked your brain about the Thunder and the Hornets, man. There's so many teams out there that could just flip picks and trade picks and swap picks and trade players. It's going to be nuts, man. So everybody stay by your phones tomorrow. Stay by the computer. Check your sources. Make sure they're real. Make sure you trust them. Tomorrow's going to be insane.
Are you telling kids not to go outside?
Don't go. Yeah, this is the one time I will tell you to not go outside. Be by your TVs and computers and phones tomorrow. It's going to be insane. I'm waking up early. I'm going to drink like 30 cups of coffee. I'm going to be wired tomorrow. So Logan asked earlier if I'm doing a live stream tomorrow. It just depends. You and I have done draft parties in the past. There's too much Sixers and Suns news. I'm just going to improvise videos and live streams tomorrow. So
I'm just going to
improvise, man.
Andrew Nimhard. You guys, I like that. Someone in the comments said that, dude.
Where was that? He had a good draft combine from what I know.
That dude's going to be a player.
Yeah.
Low-key might be like Jalen Brunson. Low-key. Or maybe not Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson's a starter at this point. I would say that's his ceiling. I would say his floor is Tyus Jones.
I've always liked Tyus Jones.
I think potential replacement for CP3, man. He's underrated, man.
The only thing I have about Andrew Nembhard in my notes, which he did meet with the Phoenix Suns, by the way, he's an intriguing two-way option to develop as a combo guard. 22 years old, I think. I've heard he doesn't have the greatest wingspan, but he's got, yeah, exactly. So, but he's got the handles, the vision, the IQ. And again, he had a really good draft combine from what was reported. So, Andrew Nembhard, future Phoenix Sun.
And Kai Soto.
The YouTube legend. All right, Romp. Anything else? Any final thoughts? What are you doing tomorrow?
Just enjoying the draft and then hopefully a trade happens and then making a video.
Everyone go check out Sixers Talk with Romp. Just search that in the search bar. Check it out in the description. Check out Romp 2.0. Appreciate you guys being here. You guys are awesome. I love you all. Stay safe out there, you guys. Take care of yourselves and your families. And stay by the phones and computers tomorrow, guys. It's going to get insane. And on that note, we'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless you guys. Peace.